Good evening, good day. How are you, everybody? Welcome to According to MzShellz. And it's your girl, MzShellz. How are you doing today? We are in the presence of a wonderful episode today, and I have a lovely guest. That's why I said we're in her presence. Of course, today, first of all, is National Suicide Prevention Day. And so I liaison with a licensed professional counselor of the Restoration Village Therapeutic and Holistic Services, none other than Stacey Williams. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you, my love?
I am fantastic. How about yourself? How are you today?
I'm doing well. Happy
Awesome.
Friday to you. And even
Thank
though
you.
I tend to do life moment celebration, I always highlight the just because days. And today, for some persons, they may feel sad in memory of a loved one that they lost through the form of suicide. And that's why I felt that one of the just because days like today is one of those days I cannot ignore, because I like to promote help options for persons as well as just provide more information, because sometimes people really don't know what to do, how to do, and so on. So first of all, introduce yourself to the audience and just basically walk us through. I've been following your lives all week, guys. If you want to connect with her, she would tell us how to connect her, but she's been doing some lives, so you can always go back over to Instagram to see some of her episodes on the whole situation. But I want you to introduce yourself and just walk us through some of the processes, some of the things that we need to be looking out for, and what can we do to help persons who are going through the loss. Okay, I know it's a lot I'm telling you all at once, but I want it to be before open for you to just talk freely.
Well, it's my pleasure to be on your episode today, According to MzShellz. My name is Stacey Williams. I am a licensed professional counselor, and I am the owner and the founder of the Restoration Village Therapeutic and Holistic Services. We are a space for healing after trauma for individuals that have been affected by traumatic events throughout their lifestyle, because we believe that a person can thrive even after experiencing a life-changing event. So we create a safe space for healing after trauma. And one of the reasons why this week is so significant for me is that trauma and suicide, they correlate or coexist, or you have one and the other. They go together. Individuals affected by trauma, especially chronic and complex trauma, tend to end up in spaces of hopelessness, apathy, fear, despair, isolation, loneliness, feeling rejected, feeling alone, and ultimately at times resort to suicide as a way to deal with their overwhelming feelings. So when we talk about National Suicide Prevention Week, we are talking about how do we identify and help an individual that is struggling with suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts, whether they have been failed or even harming themselves in many ways. So as was mentioned earlier, we have been doing lives all week, kind of breaking down this whole process of suicide, the different elements involved, the things that you need to look for, and ways that you can help someone that has been or is being affected by suicidal ideations. One of the things people will say is, are you feeling suicidal? Well, suicide is not a feeling. It's more of a thought process that an individual goes through and ultimately makes a decision based on the emotion they're experiencing and the thought that this is the way to resolve this emotion or this situation that I'm experiencing.
Okay. So you're saying it's an emotion, it's a thought process, but it's not necessarily a feeling. All right, guys. So
it's not necessarily a feeling.
Okay.
They may be feeling hopeless.
Thought process.
Yes.
Okay.
So I usually say a person that's experiencing suicidal ideations versus a person that's feeling suicidal. Okay, so because it almost makes it feel like that's what they are, as a suicidal person, but technically they are just having thoughts of hurting themselves, thoughts of killing themselves, and most times will follow through on those thoughts. Let me put my phone on silent. Okay. Yeah. So when we talk about suicidal ideations, those are thoughts that individuals have that say, I want to kill myself, I want to die. Suicidal attempts is where they do acts. They're doing something to try to kill themselves. So they're either cutting themselves with using knives, they're burning their skins, they're ingesting poisonous substances, so like bleach, using drugs, other things to kill themselves. So that those are attempts. Some attempts are successful. That's where you end up with suicide, versus those that are just, they may be unsuccessful attempts that require some form of intervention, whether it's a psychiatric intervention, hospitalization, a family intervention, a therapist intervention, a crisis line intervention, a 911 intervention. Interventions come in various ways. So those are the three areas that you have to be aware of. You want to also be attentive to what are the signs of suicide. I've heard it so many times. I didn't know that they were suicidal. I can't even imagine. They seem to be fine. But a person who is experiencing some form of suicidal ideation usually have been demonstrating some signs prior to. And so what you will find is, even if they're not talking about it, they may be doing things like isolating. They appear to be extremely sad. You may see things like they're getting their house in order. Some individuals will put their animals in a safe place or take them to someone. Then you will have where they're getting their certain affairs in order. There are people that will actually talk about it. Like, if I wasn't here, the world would be a better place. Or, I might just go ahead and kill myself. And a lot of times it's overlooked because it appears to be, oh, they're just talking again. Oh, they're just saying that. I hear things all the time like they're attention seeking. They're trying to get our attention. And it's nothing that should be taken lightly. All those are indication that they're in trouble. They're really trying to get help, but don't necessarily know how to say that that's what they want to do. And so we want to be, talking about that. A few years ago, I got a call about one of my clients that no one had seen for a while. So someone went and did a wellness check. She wasn't showing up to work. She wasn't responding to phone calls. And when they went to do a wellness check, she was in a real depressed state. And when they went to assist her, she was talking about killing herself. So quite naturally, we had to intervene and get some crisis intervention in the home to get her the help she needs. About 2 months ago, she contacted me to let me know that the intervention saved her life, because she really wanted to die because she was feeling hopeless. But because somebody took the time to go and do a wellness check on her, she's alive today. And she was able to work through that place of despair to find hope again, to continue living. So interventions do help. It's our responsibility to help somebody who needs to be helped, who needs help. They may not necessarily say, help me, I don't know what to do. And the only thing that feels better is to not be here. And so we have to step in and look out for each other. So knowing the signs, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just saying, because you mentioned the fact that the lady said the intervention was successful. If you could just repeat those 3 steps again for the possible intervention. I know 911 was one, and then the other 2.
There's always 911. Sometimes it's an intervention of a friend. A person may be okay just talking to somebody and finding hope. I was in Kroger. This may have been 5 or 6 years ago. And you know how you're walking around and you're saying, hey, how you doing? Hey, how are you? Hi, good evening. I never knew this man, never knew him from anywhere. I said, hey, how are you today? And the man said, not good. I'm going to kill myself. And I was like, wait a minute, huh? What did you say? And he says, I'm going to die today. And I'm like, immediately he got my attention. That was not something I just keep walking. Of course, the therapist in me kicked in. But in the middle of Kroger, we're doing an intervention and I'm contacting the crisis line in our county to get him intervention services. Needless to say, the shopping trip ended up being one where this man was able to get emergency psychiatric help to help him work through whatever space he was in. I never knew him, don't even remember his name, didn't know his name at the time, but he made those statements and it caught my attention. So intervention comes in various forms and it comes in so many different ways, but it can be 911, it can be a friend talking, it can be a crisis line, it can be a hotline, it can be you have to take the person to an emergency room, you know. So depending on the circumstances, having an idea of what you're looking at and what needs to be done. As I mentioned last night, there are a lot of families who have individuals that really struggle with thoughts of suicide and have multiple failed suicide attempts. And how do you help them? It's always about safety planning. How safety comes first. How do you create a space where their safety is enhanced because you're doing things to do that? So what are the risks, the triggers? What would trigger a person to say, I want to kill myself? Is it going to be a stressful situation? Is it going to be an aggressive situation? Is it going to be just their emotions becoming overtaken? Is it going to be a situation where they feel rejected, they feel guilt, shame, they're having a financial crisis, they're just having a whole breakdown, like individuals, veterans who are triggered because they are like reliving some of their war experiences? Whatever those triggers may be, being able to identify it, that's the first thing. Then the second thing is being able to know what are the risk factors that we're trying to protect them from. So if you have an individual who, when they become isolated and depressed, they're not going to eat, shower, they're going to maybe try to have a slow death. You may have an individual who is experiencing suicidal ideations and they decide, I'm not going to take my insulin or I'm not going to take my medicine and I'm just going to eventually die. Or you have somebody who's like, I'm going to use a knife and stab myself. You have somebody who may decide, I'm going to hang. You just have to know what the risk factors are and you have to minimize those. So if you know someone is a self-harmer with a knife or sharp objects, then those objects need to be locked away in a cabinet, in a safe, put away so that we can enhance their safety, stabilize their emotions, their mental state before you even reintroduce those things into their view, because those become opportunities for them to attempt suicide. So knowing those risk factors, and risk factors can be multiple things. Again, if you have somebody who will drink bleach, you want to make sure you don't have poisonous or hazardous substances or, you know, liquids or whatever it may be in their reach. If somebody will overdose on pills, those need to be locked away as well. So you identify the risk factors. And then the third thing you want to do is coming up with solutions. What can we do now that we have the triggers, we know the risk factors? How do we keep you safe by coming up with solutions? So instead of withdrawing, we're going to take a walk, or we're going to talk, or we're going to listen to music, or we're going to go to therapy. Or right now, this is too much, we're going to call 911. This is the best thing to stabilize you right now, is being in an acute care setting where they can do what is necessary to stabilize or create some balance where there's a chemical imbalance, or if there's just excessive depression, or if a person is experiencing flashback due to the fact that they were previously exposed to significant trauma. So knowing your circumstance, whoever it is that is in your life that you're trying to help, whether it's your child, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your sibling, whether it's yourself, just being aware of all those elements and working at it. You know, again, you're not alone. You're not alone. There are a lot of resources out here to help individuals and help families, help teens, help youth that are struggling with thoughts of suicide, self-harming behaviors, and even failed suicide attempts.
Awesome. And you know, you gave so many bars and nuggets. I like the fact that, you know, you were able to identify prevention and things that people can do. As it relates to the help, is there like a number persons can call? I know you said 911 is a good one to go, but is there a number?
So in each county that an individual resides in, most counties have crisis centers that's usually funded through the county mental health departments or the state. So being aware of what that is, especially if you are talking about coming up with a safety plan. Mm-hmm. Okay, who are some of the contacts? Of course, we know 911. Or you're going to have written down the non-emergency number for your policeman, whatever your city is. Then the third thing is the crisis number for your county crisis facility. That's number 3. You're going to have accessible your therapist number. That's number 4 if you have a therapist. And of course, without fail, we have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and their number, I've been saying it all week, but their number is 1-800-273-8255. And their website is also suicidepreventionlifeline.org. They have a lot of resources. They have a feature on that website where you can build and create a safety plan. And I think that's so cool, because you can identify your specific situation, your triggers, your risk factors, and come up with your solution that will help. And the thing about a safety plan, it's a living document. It's something that's always changing. It's always moving, because you never know what is going to be changing in your circumstance. And when you're working with somebody who is struggling with suicidal ideations and have just like moments where they have like high lows and high highs and low lows, and just, you know, like a lot of roller coaster emotion, it can become exhausting. So if you are supporting somebody that's battling suicidal ideations, making sure that you're taking care of yourself as well, that you're doing things to recharge, just to get strong enough to maintain the motivation and the stamina that it takes to work with somebody that's struggling with suicidal ideations.
All right, and thank you so much. So all of those, that suicide helpline number and their website will also be in the description box, ladies and gentlemen. So you can always reach out. And of course, 911 never fails. How can persons connect with you? Let's say outside of suicide prevention, you mentioned earlier, trauma is one of the things that can lead to, you know, the whole thing of suicidal, what's the term you use again? Idiom?
Ideation, thoughts.
Ideation. I want to make sure I use the right terms. So, you know, tell us how we can connect with you, and, you know, not only follow you, but if someone needs your services, they can connect with you. And of course, that information will also be in the description box, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan. So in order to be directly serviced, you would have to be a resident of the state of Michigan. So our website is www.mzshellz, www.therestorationvillage.com. So again, that's www.therestorationvillage.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at TRV_therapy. That's at TRV_therapy. And also check us out on YouTube too. We have it's the Restoration Village Therapy Services, and we'll be there too. Just sharing a lot of content, because I think it's essential for us to have these conversations about the things that truly get in our ways sometimes from that prevent us from being able to really experience the life that we desire. And we're here to help, and just connect with us and follow us, like our content, share our content, communicate. Let's have dialogue, so that if you have questions about anything, drop it in the comment section, and I'm always responding and getting back with you when you have a question. Even if I'm DM'd, I'm responding immediately. So just connect and stay connected.
Okay, so you just mentioned, I mean, this is like a sidebar, but I didn't realize that I thought, I don't know why, in the back of my mind I thought your license could go nationwide or something. So but you could still offer some form of reference to persons, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. So it's not direct services. I am still
like
available.
A professional thing per se.
So in terms of one-on-one therapy and group therapy, those things, because of how the laws are written, I would have to provide service within the state that I am licensed for. And even if it's a virtual, because our services are completely virtual right now, 100% virtual, but it's you as the service receptor, person that's receiving the service, would have to still be in the state of Michigan.
Okay. All right, guys. So thank you so much for spending time with us today, guys. There were just a couple of things that I wanted to summarize real quick. We talk about it's not a feeling, it's a thought process, which we also were encouraged to identify the signs, the triggers, and then based on that, come up with a plan to save the life of our loved one. And that could be take many forms and fashion, putting away the knife, putting away the poison, or whatever it is that they are leaning towards. And as we said before, 911 should be one of those numbers on your list for intervention, right? Also, there's going to be in the description the suicide prevention Lifeline, as well as their website, where you can also see some additional content as relates to plan of action. That's our aim, is to prevent. And she also gave 2 good testimonials of 2 persons she was able to reach out and help and got results for them. So we have someone who is not what's your word? It's a Jamaican term and I was thinking about, fly by night or hurry come up. She's been in this for years. Somebody who's just popping up like that. No, it's not that. We got real deal persons here today, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a pleasure for you to be with me. I thank you so much, Miss Williams, for being here.
Welcome.
And as we also highlight, we just want to say prayers and strength for loved ones who have lost remaining loved ones who have lost persons, via suicide. And we just want to pray your strength. And I'm sure there is help for persons who have suffered the loss.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The suicide lifeline also has resources for individuals that have survived suicide attempts and those that are grieving because they have been affected by someone who was successful at committing suicide.
Okay.
And I just want to say one thing. I know we're getting off here. Don't be afraid to ask that question. Are you thinking about killing yourself? Do you want to die? Do you feel like you want to die? Are you trying to kill yourself? How would you kill yourself? Because those let us know how we should respond to an individual. Never
That's
take
so
it
hard to just
lightly.
look at a loved one and ask them that question. I'm just putting
Yeah.
myself in that position. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, but
Never
it's
take it lightly.
important. It's important,
Yeah.
and I understand that it's
It's
very
very
important.
important. It's very important. I had one of my close friends lost her sister because all the signs were ignored and everything she said, they thought she was attention
Just joking.
seeking.
Okay.
They thought she was joking, being dramatic again. Oh, here you go again. And before you knew it, she put a gun to her head. And yeah, it was very tragic. So pay attention to the signs. Do not minimize them. Each one reach one, each one help one. We help each other and we can do it together.
All right. Each one reach one, guys. That's a word for today. Each one reach one. Thank you so much again, Mrs. Williams. I'm so happy to have you. And guys, remember, take care of you. You see, that's why I always talk about self-care, because you never know. Take care of you. And hey, take up your phone and call somebody today. Check in on that loved one. Check in on that friend.
Absolutely.
Make sure that
Absolutely.
they're still doing okay. Just talk, catch up. Sometimes we get so busy, we forget about our neighbor. Hey, go next door and knock on. Well, it depends again, but call on somebody, check in on somebody, and let's reach out and touch other persons. Let's people know that they still are loved and are special, to each other. As I always say, remember to take care of you, because you are number one. You are unique. You are amazing. You are super special, and MzShellz loves you.